Sparked by social protests over systemic racism, tech companies are going out of their way to boost the diversity in their workforce. Take, for example, what Tim Cook is doing over at Apple.
We also announced something important for this community, the new Developer Entrepreneur Camp for Black developers. We want to do everything we can to foster the brightest lights and best ideas.
And SAP has recently announced that they are taking action towards social justice. Here's a quote from their website. SAP has set a new goal to double the representation of African American talent in the U.S. over the next 3 years. SAP's focus is to better reflect the diversity of society and the customers it serves. SAP will continue to partner with organizations that develop a qualified talent pipeline from communities currently underrepresented in the technology arena, such as African Americans. And there are several other examples I could name, like Intel pledging to increase women in tech roles by 40%. And Mozilla intends to double the representation of African Americans and Latinx employees inside of its organization. And then there is this. I quote, Cesar Conde, the new chairman of the NBC Universal News Group, outlined a workforce goal of 50% diversity, telling employees that as a news organization, we have a unique responsibility to reflect the country and all of the communities we serve. The NBC Universal News Group is not going to wait for change to happen and just react to it. We're going to lead, he said in a video to employees on Tuesday. The quote continues, as a news organization, we have a unique responsibility to look like and reflect all of the people of the country we serve. He said that the goal is for 50% of the news organization employees to be women and 50% of their total workforce to be people of color. The 50% goal is long-term with no exact date set to reach it, but he said that progress will be reported publicly every year. The intent behind these efforts, and others I could name, is to create equality in the workplace. When you look around the office, you see a rainbow of colors and backgrounds represented evenly and equally. But is this even possible? No. I don't think so. I'll tell you why in 15 seconds. Let me ask you a question. How do you recruit diversity inside of industries where minorities tend not to operate in? Check out this data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Thank you so much. So the data you're looking at behind me on the screen is the employee makeup of occupations according to gender, race, ethnicity, things like that. And so when you look at these jobs, look at these 3 examples that I thought were interesting. You have here air traffic controllers, and you have flight engineers, and you have veterinary assistants. And these 3 jobs in particular have very low minority representation. That being the case, can companies in those industries pledge to double the percentage of Asian or Latin or African American or what have you in their organization when, judging by the numbers as evident by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they're just not there, or they tend not to work in those industries? Now, by sharing those statistics, am I suggesting that diversity recruiting is a waste of time in those industries, or any industry for that matter? No, not at all. Diversity recruiting is an imperative because it gives businesses a competitive edge. Check out these statistics. According to a McKinsey study, companies with more culturally and ethnically diverse executive teams were 33% more likely to see better than average profits. And that same report said at the board of directors level, more ethnically and culturally diverse companies were 43% more likely to see above average profits, showing a significant correlation between diversity and performance. And according to a report from the International Labor Organization, businesses with genuine gender diversity, particularly at senior level, perform better, including seeing significant profit increases. So if diversity gives you a competitive edge, but the minority talent supply is low, what do? I suggest focusing on equal opportunity initiatives rather than diversity quotas. Equal opportunity gives everyone a chance to succeed. It's not perfect, as some groups have an advantage over others, but it is not impossible to achieve when the opportunity to achieve is equal. And something else to think about. Although the heart may have the right intent, there can be unintended consequences. Listen to these quotes from this article I read the other day, if you could, as I stall. Yes, thank you. Many hiring managers believe that employer edicts concerning increasing diversity require them to overlook more suitably qualified candidates in favor of applicants who bring diversity, not necessarily talent, to the organization. In these circumstances, hiring managers may begin to resent how increasing workplace diversity impacts their ability to exercise independent judgment, as well as their authority in making hiring decisions. And here's another quote from the same article. Employees who realize the company's goal is to increase diversity may feel that they are less important if they don't represent the typical diverse populations that focus on race, gender, national origin, age, and disability. In a workplace where employees don't belong to diverse populations, these employees may feel undervalued and underappreciated based purely on the fact that they don't represent diversity. They also might believe that employees from diverse groups have more opportunities for advancement, thus disrupting the working relationships they once had with colleagues and coworkers. But I digress. With hundreds of protests happening all over the world, we're very much at a flashpoint in our country's history. With the focus on police brutality and systemic racism, companies are ensuring that they're staying relevant and recognizing the urgency of those issues. As corporations do, dozens of legally approved statements of unity have been posted on their company blog and website. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been donated to groups that promote social justice and fight racial inequality, pretty much under the umbrella organization Black Lives Matter. And all of that brings us to this, the word of the day, which is virtue signaling. When I hear how companies are sending hundreds of millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter and other organizations like them, but they're doing nothing internally to reduce issues of equity inside of their own organizations, then it tells me that all the money they're giving is basically a huge virtue signal. Case in point, let's look at Silicon Valley. Asian employees make up a greater share of Silicon Valley's professional workforce, more than other minority groups in Silicon Valley, but their representation decreases sharply when you get to the managerial and executive levels. And here's another chart for you. When you consider Latino and Black employees in particular in Silicon Valley, the number is low. But when you look at the managerial staff, executive staff, it really declines. So in light of all that, I have a few challenges I like to present to companies, particularly in Silicon Valley. Before writing another check to feel good about yourself, why not evaluate the succession planning of your company and see if it is truly equitable? And if it's not, start making changes. If there is a deficit of management talent, start a mentoring program and encourage minorities within your organization to participate. Poll your employees and ask them if they think there is a glass ceiling preventing gender and minority consideration for management and executive roles. Then listen to them, and this is the crucial part. Take action. And now, a few shout-outs. So I was discussing diversity quotas with one of my coworkers who happened to be African American, and they had a lot to say about it. Thanks, Jason, for the comments. I totally agree with you about the office location, and wow, I didn't know that about Rackspace.
Because I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.